Hi, Ashley. How's it
It's going good. How you doing?
going? Yeah, great, thank you. And it's such a pleasure to be able to speak to you about this film because I had a great time with it and it's a great role for you. But I do have to wonder, as an actor, were you a tiny bit disappointed to find out you weren't going to actually be taking part in the Hunger Games?
Mm, you know, Part of me would have loved to actually get into the nitty-gritty of doing my own stunts. I know Rachel did most of her own, and that's so impressive. I did only like one day, 2 days of me falling onto a mat, and I was like, it's a little, how do you do that? I would have loved to do that and go into training for martial arts. I have my black belt, would have loved to get into some fist fighting. But no, I'm thankful that Clemencia is, safe in the capital. So I do have to say that.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, it is a great role. And you may not get into the arena, but of course, you have that fantastic scene with the snake. So, can you talk us through shooting that? Because I'm assuming those were all CGI, and that must have been quite a challenging thing to imagine on set.
Yeah, I don't know how to explain to my friends what it's like just pretending like you're holding a snake and it's like slithering through your fingers and all of that and then biting you. Spoilers. But yeah, it was, I mean, Viola Davis kind of makes it easy. I guess when you enter into a sphere with two classically trained, actors from Juilliard, it's very easy to just kind of slip right into it and I guess make it come to life.
Yeah, for sure. Because you mentioned Viola there, she's an incredible actor. So, did you learn anything from working alongside her in those scenes, particularly as she is, well, very much a unique character with who she's playing in the film?
Yeah. In between some of our takes on that day where it was just Tom Blythe and Viola Davis and me, it was very like intimate. I really got to know them in between takes, and she'd give me advice about, her time at Juilliard. And I mean, when you got Winter giving you advice, I'm just like, how do I take notes in my brain so I never ever forget these ever? But yeah, I'm incredibly lucky. I'm very, very grateful.
Yeah, and because you mentioned Tom as well there. So, did the two of you get much time to talk about what the dynamic between Snow and Clemencia was like? Because, there seems to be a friendship, a rivalry. There's a lot of layers, I think, to whatever they
Yes,
have.
I think that's something that was really surprising to me between like what my perhaps initial thought for that scene when she enters, and it's reaping day, for what, Clemmy's motives were for that as opposed to what Francis's were. And so he kept giving me these notes. He was like, "Can you be more flirty?" And I was like, "Flirty? What do you mean flirty?" He's like, just a little more. I was like, okay. Meanwhile, Tom is just standing there like grinning. I'm like, okay, this is great. But yeah, I think she and Coriolanus have a very layered, complex relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Francis Lawrence coming back to direct this movie after working on the original film. So, what was it like to be working underneath him and to maybe learn from him and see him come back to this franchise, which obviously he put on the map with those movies?
Yeah, I tried really hard not to fangirl, put it that way. Start there. I'm a huge fan of Catching Fire. I think I've seen it probably 8 times last year. It's my comfort movie. And I just, I told him how much I just adored his work on that, how he really brought everything to life. And then bring, Trish Somerville, our costumer, back for this film. I think she just absolutely killed it. And the world feels so real when we're on set.
Yeah, for sure. And Clemencia in the books, I'm sure a lot of people know there's a little bit more of her we see. She comes back after the snake bite and she's almost transformed and becomes snake-like herself. So were you hoping to see some of that in the film? Was that ever discussed, or was there just not room for that story, do you think?
It's such a dense book and such a dense
Mm.
film to begin with. I would have loved to have sit in that hair and makeup chair for hours on end and see the magic come to fruition. I will say that, but there's always room for more. This is the world of sci-fi. Anything can happen.
And I guess on the plus side, it leaves the door open if they ever make a sequel, which I know a lot of fans would love. Of course, you could always come back and do something different with the character. Have you given that any thought at all?
I would love to see it. I would love to see it in a heartbeat.
Awesome. And this is I've read before that you are a big fan of the books and the films. So in terms of preparation for this role, did you go and delve into those and particularly the book for this film, or was it more helpful just to stick with what you were given in the script?
Yeah, I think for the tone, it was really important for me to rewatch the original films. It was very important for me to read the book as well, and I literally have my like scenes highlighted in the book and the script, so I could kind of see what was going on, like in real time. It was very cool to get to see it. I was like, oh wow, this is word for word. This is great. But yeah, I read the book and it gave me such a broad perspective of Clemencia. And so like you may not really hear kind of the background chatter and the background noise of certain scenes, but based on what the script and also what the book called for, that chatter was happening. So that's kind of something that, you might not know was happening, but it was.
Oh, amazing. And of course, I feel now, obviously, having played this character, you probably know her best. So this world of the Hunger Games is so murky. Do you consider Clemencia a good guy, a bad guy, somewhere in between? Where do you think she falls on that moral spectrum?
I think Clemencia has a good heart. I think she has a good heart. She might be a little power hungry, but at the end of the day, I think Snow is more power hungry.
Okay.
So if for capital standards, maybe she's fantastic.
Yeah, and watching a movie like this, it's so hard these days to know as a viewer what's real and obviously what's CG because it's such an expansive and immersive world. So for you being on set, was there a lot of green screen or did you find yourself on a lot of practical sets that had been transformed?
Not at all. I was
Ah,
so surprised. And I think that's one of the things that I really love about, Francis's attention to detail as a director, what it means to make sure that your actors get the best reaction possible. I know like in Reaping Day, we're like staring at these screens as it happens, like in real time in the film, but they had actually filmed all of that previously. And so we were reacting to real content. And so all the screens that you see were just like iPads or just like television screens that were projecting actual film footage, which was incredible. And I didn't see a lot of blue screen until it came to like that overhead shot of my hand going into the terrarium and with the full of snakes. And so, yeah, that's like the only time I think I really like saw it and was like, oh yeah, that's blue. But the rest of it was real, and we had these incredible, beautiful, like monumental, grand, like sets to work on.
yeah, and of course the costumes as well. That must have been a fun thing to delve into that side because you get some, like all the characters, you get some great looks in the movie. So did you enjoy that too?
Oh my goodness, absolutely. I literally have a sticker of me as Clemmy. This is a sticker that was drawn by a fan. I think her name's Claire's not asleep on Twitter. But like this YSL dress that I got to wear with that ponytail, I think about it all the time. And the shoes, you can't see them too much, but she's wearing these beautiful like Jeffrey Campbell like studded rhinestone shoes. And I felt so cool walking around with that outfit, so much cooler than when I left and I was in my pajamas again.
Oh, I can only imagine. And I'm glad you mentioned the fans there because of course the Hunger Games, very passionate fan base, both of the books, films. So what's it been like to be really embraced by them? So I've seen nothing but good things said about your performance and your character. So how has that felt? Because I imagine coming onto the project, you must have been feeling the pressure.
Oh, absolutely. I think that was something that I was the most nervous about was I know how dedicated our fans are, and they make up such a big reason and such a big part of why the world is so big and so real. And I'm immensely grateful. Like I open up my social medias to just the kindest of messages, and it warms my heart. I'm the luckiest girl in the world.
Oh, incredible. And, I'm with comicbookmovie.com, so I'm almost obligated to ask, superhero movies, is that something that having a taste of a franchise with the Hunger Games? Have you given any thought, Marvel, DC, whether you'd like to embark on something like that?
I mean, if you know people, you can give them my contact any day. I will, at the drop of a hat, let them know. I will do my own stunts. I have my black belt in Taekwondo. I got bow staff. What do you want? I got it. Yeah, especially after watching Rachel like do her own stunts like for this film, like most of them, I am in awe of that. I would love to be able to take on that like physical challenge as well, because I think it's one thing to like, be an actor and be in it in your brain, but it's another thing to like take that on as well as the physicality. And I'm down for the challenge.
Oh, well, fingers crossed. And just one final question for you, Ashley. We see in the film all the different participants in the games, they all have very different strategies. So, God forbid, if you were to ever find yourself in that situation, how do you think Clemencia would react? And if she was thrown into the games, and what her strategy would be?
It's a great question. I don't know if Clemencia would ever have to think about being in the Hunger Games. So let me put myself in her brain for a second and really think about that. From what I would like to think, she is very clever. I would like to
Yeah.
think that maybe she would make it to at least the top 10 in one way or another. Definitely building on teamwork. I think that charm is very important for her. So I could see her perhaps joining the careers with a nice sway of being perhaps maybe comic relief in such a tense time. She'll be such a
Well,
pop, you know? They'll keep her around.
well, I think she'd be in with a good shot. Well, Ashley, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about the movie. I loved what you did in this one and thought the film was great. So glad to get the chance to chat with you.
Thank you so much, Josh.